Call of Duty, a franchise that has fallen from grace, developed and published by companies who were once praised by fans for their well-crafted titles, to now being shunned by the community, due to releasing buggy, unfinished games and for getting caught up in controversies regarding their questionable marketing strategies, underpaid staff, and lack of communication with fans. This wasn't always the case, especially with this particular game series. The history varies from person to person, but to me, from 2007 to 2012, Call of Duty was the greatest game on the planet for more reasons than one, the biggest being their competitive multiplayer, something that was unlike any other game at the time and changed the very foundation of competitive first-person shooters forever through their aim-down-the-sight system, custom classes, perks, and kill streaks. The game was so incredibly popular that its influence bled into other games. New franchises were spawned in failed attempts to take the throne, and other media outlets picked it up as fast as the games hit the shelves. Comics, merchandise, a thriving esports community, short films, and now there are even talks of a full-length live-action film hitting the scene through Activision Blizzard Studios. Back then, it seemed as if Call of Duty would permanently be at the peak for the foreseeable future, especially after the release of Modern Warfare 2 in 2009. The game that defined my generation, and the title that stood out above the rest. Its multiplayer was the best I've ever played to this very day. But after the release of Black Ops 2, the franchise slowly began to lose its way, releasing a new title every single year, most of which containing a lackluster story, forgettable features, and multiplayer that was either unbalanced, flat-out broken, uninteresting, or a combination of the three. The developers even took a gamble by removing the story mode from Black Ops 4 and put all of their time and effort towards the multiplayer, which evidently received mixed reviews. I was chasing the high from Modern Warfare 2, itching to experience the intensity of online multiplayer as I once did, but to no avail, and as a result, I walked away from the franchise for a good decade because it became a series I couldn't enjoy nor take interest in. But that is until 2021, when I bought Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War. At the time, I was growing tired of single-player games and longed for that intense competitive play, but was hesitant as to whether or not Cold War would be a worthy investment. Is it another mediocre installment from the franchise, or is it worth picking up? And how is it now that it's been out for a few months? Find out on Prime Reviews. Call of Duty Black Ops Cold War is the 17th title of the franchise, developed by Treyarch and Raven Software, while being published by none other than Activision. It's a game that takes place in the 1980s during, you guessed it, the Cold War. If you know anything about the story, the campaign itself takes place between the events of the original Black Ops and its sequel Black Ops 2 chronologically. Familiar faces such as Mason, Woods, Weaver, and Hudson have returned to the franchise, which was a massive plus for me going in. Every once in a while, Call of Duty creates these amazing characters that have such charisma and development that they make the games what they are by just existing. The aforementioned names, especially Woods, are perhaps some of the best characters Call of Duty has ever created, along with some new faces in this particular title, like Russell Adler, who's a great character as much as he is an enigma. The campaign will be familiar to Call of Duty players without a doubt. It's what you'd expect. Intense gunfights, car chases, explosions, and more. Lately, the franchise released subpar stories in recent titles, but I really like the Black Ops storyline, especially here in Cold War. Instead of the boots-on-the-ground gameplay COD is known for, it takes a more cloak-and-dagger approach, mixed in with some intense action. I can go into detail, but it would involve spoiling the storyline. It's truly something you need to experience yourself. What I really like about this particular campaign is that there are dialogue options and choices the player must make that can change the dynamic of the story, in both good and bad ways. I like how Call of Duty has taken a step back and decided to work on a story with a bit more depth. The game offers more ways in which the player can fail, rather than simply getting shot and dying. Thing is, as the game draws to a close, you realize that there's nothing innovative or new when it comes to this campaign and its gameplay, aside from decision making, which, let's be honest, has been done countless times in various AAA titles years before. There's one massive choice the player must make in the end that determines one of two outcomes. Not going to spoil it, but both endings were not the best. One will have you scratching your head, leaving you confused and wondering why you played the story to begin with. The other is satisfying to a degree, but is bittersweet and will leave a bad taste in your mouth. Treyarch definitely took a bold, creative risk here with the campaign. Some aspects worked extremely well, and others fell flat. But not every Call of Duty player cares about the campaign. You know what they do care about? Zombies. Yes, the famous mode has returned to Call of Duty bigger and better than ever, with various modes to choose from and multiple different zombies to encounter. Some modes will seem familiar as they're molded off of older zombie game modes, but there are some new ones that are fun and can get intense when the difficulty rises to a certain level. Outbreak stood out to me the most, where you and up to a handful of other players can traverse large-scale maps and complete missions, which raise in difficulty significantly with each completed objective. You can find various weapons and upgrade them, fight off hordes of zombies, and encounter powerful boss-like enemies that can pressure or overwhelm the player. It really has this Walking Dead-like feel to it, which is a huge plus for me as I really love zombie-related things, so a bit of a bias here. The map is chock full of zombies walking aimlessly across the map in Romero-like fashion. Gunfire draws them near, and hordes can surround players, increasing the odds against them. My only issue is that the local split screen involving zombies is unbelievably pathetic. If you play online with friends, the graphics are impeccable, but if you play locally, the quality drops exponentially, making it look as if it's a PS2 game but worse. Interlaced textures, screen glitches, just things that shouldn't be a factor at all, especially if it's local play. Treyarch as a company has never struggled with this in previous zombie titles, so why are they starting now? It's unacceptable from them at this stage. It's downright lazy and an insult to their player base. They didn't think that some players simply don't have online access, or they didn't care, which goes to show that local split screen in general is a dying feature, a shame to say the least. My friend shouldn't have to bring his own TV and PS4 to my house just to play the game properly without graphical or connection related issues. Things like this are meant to be simple. I've saved multiplayer for last because it's easily the biggest topic of controversy in the community, mainly concerning something known as the skill-based matchmaking system, or SBMM for short. Treyarch basically wanted to put skill-based matchmaking in place in order to keep the matches at a level playing field. Highly skilled Call of Duty veterans will always receive a challenge rather than cruising through matches in their sleep, and newcomers who aren't as skilled will have an easier time playing the game, achieving kills without getting completely destroyed. Basically, separating those who are highly skilled from the casuals who don't want to sweat every single match they play. This sounds reasonable, so why all the backlash? As far as I can tell, SBMM has completely divided the fanbase. Half of them are complaining that the system has diluted the competitive nature of the game because of how quickly everyone gets killed, or how easily players of a lower skill level acquire kills. The other half's rebuttal is simply, get better, scrub. So here's my take. When I first played the game, make no mistake, I got absolutely destroyed throughout the first 2 days of playing it. Come day 3, my reaction time got better as well as my overall skill and playstyle. I've now had the game for less than 3 weeks, and I'm averaging at least a 1.5 KD every match, which is above average, having far more kills than my deaths, despite being constantly paired with players at the same skill level, if not higher. There's no doubt that the multiplayer needs some tweaking, and that SBMM may be a bit too harsh with newer casual players. If you don't want to constantly sweat in each match, then you will most likely hate skill-based matchmaking, especially since it's a factor for every game mode and isn't something separate or a feature you can turn on or off. That said, every good Call of Duty between the aforementioned years of 2007 and 2012 all had SBMM as well, just better, more refined versions. There's no doubt that it can be fixed and is something Treyarch should consider, but to blame the system entirely for a lackluster experience seems to be more of a crutch than anything else. There are so many other factors at play here as to why the experience isn't as good as it should be. Campers simply waiting for kills to come to them, map exploits, a ton of bugs, never being in a consistent lobby, overpowered weapons that should be removed entirely if not diluted, and the game being rife with disgusting microtransactions despite being purely cosmetic. On the plus side, you'll find the gunsmith feature has made a triumphant return, filled with miscellaneous weapons, attachments, accessories, and camos. Players also have the option of playing as one of their favorite characters from the story mode, with new faces as well to add variety. And there's also a ton of different game modes to choose from across several maps. Another plus being that all new maps are free downloadable content as well. Cold War is perhaps the most fun I've had with a Call of Duty game in recent years, despite the gripes and inadequacies, and this is mainly because I have fun putting 110% effort in each and every single match. Sweatfests are what makes shooters fun for me, but that said, other players may not value it as much, which understandably would repel them from yet another Call of Duty. Each mode presents its own set of benefits and features, as well as negative takeaways. What it really boils down to is preference and whether or not certain features or mechanics appeal to you. That said, there are some cons here that everyone can agree on, whether you like the game or not. Cold War proves that Call of Duty is slowly running out of ideas. They're using influences from other games that have been used years before, and are rehashing old storylines and characters from previous titles to lure their fan base into buying it, manipulating their nostalgia for financial gain. Of course, this is nothing new. Rather, this is a method that Call of Duty has used time and time again. This time, however, it's not working out for them like it has previously. But hey, that's why they have predatory microtransactions, right? I'm surprised I enjoyed the Cold War experience so much, even though some cons add to its detriment. It's not a perfect game, and it certainly is nowhere near what it used to be when the franchise peaked, but it's not the worst one that developers have cranked out. It's probably the best one in recent years, even though it will be irrelevant by this upcoming November when the next title arrives.